The Galactic Council had convened for a rare and grand summit. Alien species from all corners of the galaxy were present, each with their own vast civilizations, technologies, and powers. The Grand Hall was alive with chatter, a mixture of foreign languages and strange dialects, all buzzing with excitement. At the center of the room, a giant holoscreen flickered to life, displaying images of Earth's primitive spaceships, those outdated, bulky, and slow vessels that humanity had used to reach the stars. Laughter filled the hall as the alien representatives from the various galactic empires looked at the images. The room shook with mocking comments and dismissive gestures. A few aliens pointed at the ships on display, chuckling and exchanging amused glances. Some spoke of how the humans had once believed that these clunky ships were their greatest achievement, while others made crude jokes about their outdated technology. It was clear, to the advanced civilizations of the galaxy, humanity was nothing more than a joke. They laughed at the human attempt to reach the stars, a race that had only recently managed to make its way beyond their solar system. Their ships, made of crude alloys and lacking in any real advanced technology, seemed laughable to these galactic elites who traveled across the galaxy with ease using sleek, powerful starships. The holographic display cycled through pictures of Earth's vessels, a few outdated, heavily armored military ships, barely capable of holding their own against any advanced alien force. Zorak, a towering alien general from a powerful empire known for its vast fleets, was the loudest in the room. His race had conquered countless star systems, and their technology was centuries ahead of anything humanity could dream of. He openly mocked the idea that Earth could ever be a threat. "These primitive humans think they are ready for the stars," Zorak sneered, his voice echoing through the room. "Their ships are nothing more than oversized toys, hardly fit for space travel, let alone combat." The other representatives joined in with laughter, adding their own jabs. Some spoke of the foolishness of humans, thinking they could stand against real threats. Others discussed how easy it would be to crush their so-called space exploration programs. To these aliens, humanity was insignificant, a tiny speck on the galactic map that didn't deserve any real attention. But they were wrong. At the back of the room, standing silently, was Michael Carter, the human ambassador. His posture was calm, almost statuesque, his face betraying little emotion as he listened to the laughter and mockery. He stood in front of the holographic display of Earth's space program, an image that showed humanity's earliest attempts at space exploration, including the first human-made satellite and their first crewed missions to the moon. Carter, however, didn't share in the laughter. He wasn't bothered by the insults being hurled at his people. Instead, he had a knowing look in his eyes, something hidden beneath the calm exterior. While the aliens saw only the outdated technology and laughed at the primitive nature of human spaceships, Carter knew the truth. Humanity had been keeping a secret that would soon be revealed. He had spent years working alongside brilliant scientists and engineers to develop technology far beyond what these aliens could even imagine. What they saw on that screen was just a small fraction of Earth's true power, a fraction that no one in the galaxy was prepared for. He didn't say anything. The room's laughter continued, and Carter's silence was almost as if he was waiting for something. His mind was focused on the plan that had been set in motion long ago. For now, he would let them laugh. They would soon realize how wrong they were. But that time had not yet come. Zorak, growing more confident with each passing minute, leaned forward on the podium. "We should test their strength," he declared loudly, his eyes gleaming with arrogance. "Let's see if these so-called humans can survive against a real power. It will be a simple exercise, a mock battle to prove they are no more than insects in the grand scheme of the galaxy." The room erupted in agreement. The council members cheered for the idea, excited by the thought of humbling these primitive humans once and for all. Earth's space exploration was a joke, and they were going to show it to the galaxy. Zorak suggested a demonstration, an exercise where a few of their fleets would challenge the human forces to see if they could survive even a small confrontation. The aliens had no idea that this so-called exercise would turn into something far greater than they could ever imagine. As the plan was discussed and agreed upon, Carter remained still, his face a mask of composure. But inwardly, he knew that this would be the last time they underestimated Earth. Deep within the shadows of space, Earth's true strength was waiting to be revealed. As the meeting began to wind down, and the council members prepared to leave, a strange signal interrupted the proceedings. The main screen flickered and a cryptic message appeared, written in bold red letters. "They will regret underestimating us." The room fell silent. The message was brief but unsettling, and for a moment, no one could quite grasp its meaning. Who had sent the message? Where had it come from? The council members exchanged confused glances, but before anyone could ask questions or investigate further, the message vanished. A few whispered among themselves, but no one had an answer. Zorak's face darkened. "Do not be fooled by these primitive creatures," he sneered, though even his voice carried a hint of uncertainty now. "Their message means nothing. We will show them their place in the galaxy." But Carter, still standing quietly at the back of the room, knew the truth. The message was not from any alien race. It was a signal from Earth itself. The message was clear. Humanity had been preparing for this moment in secret. They would soon reveal their strength to the galaxy, and the day of reckoning for the Galactic Council was fast approaching. Far beyond the council chambers, hidden deep within the asteroid belt, the fleet that Carter and his team had spent years building was ready. These ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were sleek, efficient, and far more powerful than the primitive vessels the aliens had mocked. Equipped with cloaking technology, artificial intelligence, and weapons that could obliterate entire fleets in seconds, these ships were humanity's last hope. The fleet had been built in secret, away from the prying eyes of the Galactic Council and its spies. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, far beyond what the galaxy had ever considered possible. The aliens would soon learn the hard way that Earth was not what it seemed. Carter turned and walked out of the chamber, his mind focused on the task ahead. He could feel the weight of the coming conflict pressing on him. The time for diplomacy was over. The time for humanity to stand and show the galaxy what they were capable of had arrived. The mockery of Earth's primitive ships had only just begun to fade, but soon the universe would be forced to acknowledge the power of humanity. And the Galactic Council would regret ever underestimating Earth. As Carter stepped into the corridor, the sound of laughter from the council room still echoed in his ears, but it was now hollow. Soon, the galaxy would hear a new sound, a roar of triumph from a people who had been underestimated for far too long. In the darkness of space, the fleet waited. The countdown had begun. On Earth, deep within the vast, barren regions of the asteroid belt, a secret operation was unfolding, a project so advanced and tightly guarded that only a select few even knew of its existence. Commander Evelyn Rice stood at the center of a massive underground command center, surrounded by rows of scientists and engineers who were working tirelessly on the most critical mission humanity had ever undertaken. For years, Earth had been mocked and belittled by the galactic powers, who saw humans as nothing more than a primitive species with outdated technology. But the truth was far different. Humanity's true strength had been hidden from the rest of the galaxy, prepared in silence, far beyond the reach of alien spies, and Commander Reyes was the one in charge of the most important part of that secret. She was a brilliant strategist, known for her cold resolve and sharp mind. Reyes had risen through the ranks quickly, and now she was at the helm of humanity's greatest military asset. The fleet she commanded was unlike anything seen before in the galaxy. These weren't the clunky, outdated warships the Galactic Council had mocked. No, these ships were the pinnacle of human ingenuity, sleek, powerful, and deadly. They were equipped with cloaking devices, allowing them to vanish from sight, even from the most sophisticated alien sensors. Their artificial intelligence systems were designed to learn and adapt in real time, making them far more efficient and dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever encountered. Rise paced along the command deck, her sharp eyes scanning the holographic displays showing the status of each warship in the fleet. Each ship was outfitted with advanced plasma cannons capable of wiping out entire fleets in a single strike. Their stealth technology was so advanced that even the most sophisticated alien systems couldn't detect them unless they were right on top of them. It was humanity's trump card, the one thing the galactic powers had never anticipated. She could feel the weight of the responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. The mockery of Earth's technology had been a constant source of frustration, but she had always known that they would have the last laugh. Earth had been preparing for this moment for years, in secret, and now it was time to unveil their strength to the galaxy. The time for diplomacy, for pleading their case, was over. Rice stopped in front of a large hologram that displayed the fleet in its entirety, an array of sleek, dark ships, their designs futuristic and intimidating. The ships shimmered as their cloaking devices activated, causing them to blend seamlessly into the darkness of space. They were invisible to the naked eye, and even the most advanced alien sensors would have trouble tracking them. The engineers and scientists around her continued their work, tweaking the final systems, ensuring that each ship was ready for the mission ahead. Rise had worked with them tirelessly, ensuring that every ship, every weapon, every system was perfect. Failure was not an option. She turned to her team, her expression unwavering. "We'll only show our true power once," she said, her voice calm but firm. "And when we do, it will be a message to the galaxy. A message that humanity is not to be underestimated." The room fell silent, the gravity of her words settling in. Rise didn't need to say more. Her team understood. This mission was about more than just defeating an enemy. It was about sending a message to every alien race in the galaxy. They had mocked Earth, dismissed humanity as weak, as primitive. But they would soon realize that humanity was far stronger, far more capable than they had ever imagined. As Reyes spoke, the technicians activated the hologram of the fleet, each ship slowly materializing in the holographic display. The shimmering outlines of the ships appeared, their surfaces gleaming as the cloaking shields flickered on and off, their true forms hidden beneath layers of stealth technology. It was a sight that would make any alien think twice about underestimating humanity. These ships weren't just powerful, they were practically invisible. And once the battle began, the galaxy would never see it coming. Rise stared at the hologram, her gaze intense. "Prepare yourselves," she said quietly, her voice carrying a sense of finality. "This will be humanity's moment to shine, and once we show them what we're capable of, they will never mock us again." The crew members around her nodded, their faces determined. They knew that this mission would change everything. The fleet they had built in secret, using the best technology humanity had developed over the past few decades, was ready. But there was still so much to do. Every detail had to be perfect. The ships, now fully equipped and ready for battle, hovered in the darkness of space, hidden within the depths of the asteroid belt. No one in the galaxy had any idea of what was about to unfold. Not a single alien race had any clue that Earth's true strength was just waiting to be revealed. The tension in the room was palpable. Rise knew that the time for preparation was almost over. Soon, the ships would leave their hidden location and make their way toward the heart of the galaxy, the Galactic Council's domain. There, they would reveal humanity's strength in the most dramatic way possible. They would show the galaxy that Earth was no longer to be ignored. They were no longer the weak, primitive species that the Council had laughed at. They were warriors, and they would make sure that the universe knew it. Rise took one last look at the hologram, her eyes scanning the fleet. "It's time," she muttered, almost to herself. She had no doubt that their actions would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The Galactic Council, the aliens who had mocked them, would soon learn just how wrong they were about humanity. With a determined nod, she turned to her team. "Activate the cloaking systems," she ordered. The room hummed to life as the final systems were activated. The ships in the hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving only their shimmering silhouettes behind. It was a quiet, powerful moment. The fleet was ready. As the last ship disappeared from the holographic display, Rice took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. She had done everything she could. Now, the only thing left was to let the galaxy see the full extent of humanity's hidden strength. The camera in the command room zoomed in on the cloaked ships, their forms almost invisible against the backdrop of space. These ships were ready to show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. The fleet was prepared, the plan set in motion. But the galaxy still had no idea what was coming. Soon, they would find out. And when they did, they would regret ever underestimating humanity. With the fleet cloaked in silence, the camera cut to the vast expanse of space, the ships disappearing into the darkness as the countdown to humanity's greatest revelation began. The tension in the command center was palpable as the Galactic Council's fleet made its move. Earth had no idea what was coming. The aliens had planned what they thought would be a simple test, a mock assault to demonstrate their superiority over humanity. The exercise, they believed, would be a piece of cake. Little did they know, Earth was not as unprepared as they thought. The first wave of the alien fleet arrived with an explosion of energy. Massive warships, sleek and deadly, gliding through the void of space like predators hunting their prey. These ships, equipped with hyper-advanced weapons and shields, tore through the space between the stars with ease. The Galactic Council's generals were confident in their superiority, and their arrogance was about to be proven in the most brutal way. But the humans had a different plan. On Earth's outer colonies, a fleet of decoy ships had been hastily assembled. These ships were old, outdated, and nothing compared to the power of the alien armada. However, they served their purpose, to draw the aliens into a trap. The humans were counting on something far beyond the decoys themselves. They just had to survive long enough to show the galaxy what they were really made of. As the alien fleet advanced, their weapons powered up, and the battle began. Plasma blasts lit up the darkness of space as the alien ships unleashed wave after wave of destruction on the decoy fleet. Each shot from the aliens struck with precision, cutting through the decoy ships like a hot knife through butter. Explosions erupted in the void as the ships were torn apart, but the alien fleet showed no mercy, only relentless destruction. Inside the human command center, Commander Reyes stood frozen, watching the events unfold on the large holographic screen. The decoy ships were no match for the alien technology, and the humans knew it. Rice clenched her fists, knowing that the decoys were only meant to buy time. They needed to activate their real fleet, the one hidden in the shadows, for their plan to succeed. But as the decoys took hit after hit, there was a growing sense of dread among the soldiers. Every time one of the ships was destroyed, a small part of their hope died with it. In the command center, the crew tried to stay focused, their eyes glued to the screen, but the reality of the situation was sinking in. The aliens were too powerful. There was no way humanity could win this fight. Among the soldiers was Bonner, a young man who had been through countless missions and survived countless dangers. But this was different. The stakes were higher than they had ever been. As the decoy ships continued to fall, Bonner's face grew pale. Sweat dripped from his forehead, and his hands trembled slightly as he gripped the controls. He knew what was at stake, the survival of humanity. If they failed, Earth would be wiped out, and billions of lives would be lost. The countdown to activating the real fleet was ticking down, but every second felt like an eternity. Bonner's mind raced as he watched the decoy ships being decimated, the soldiers aboard each one fighting desperately to hold on. He could hear the crackle of the comms, the shouts of soldiers from the decoy fleet as they made their final stand. Their voices echoed in his mind, their bravery inspiring him, but also filling him with fear. Then, Disaster struck. One of the decoy ships took a direct hit from the alien fleet's main cannon. The blast sent it spiraling out of control, and Bonner could see the explosion in vivid detail on the screen. His heart sank as he realized that they were losing. There was no way the decoy fleet would hold up much longer. But Bonner wasn't ready to give up. He knew the sacrifice that would have to be made for the greater good. With a steely resolve, he made a decision. He would make sure the real fleet had enough time to activate, even if it meant giving his life. "Commander Reyes," Bonner said, his voice tight with emotion, "I'll buy you the time you need. Activate the fleet when you can." Reyes turned to him, her eyes filled with a mix of admiration and fear. "Bonner, no." But Bonner didn't wait for her to finish. Without another word, he turned and launched his own ship toward the heart of the alien fleet. His ship wasn't equipped for a fight against the alien warships, but he wasn't trying to win. He was trying to buy enough time for the real fleet to activate. As he flew toward the heart of the alien assault, Bonner's heart pounded in his chest. The decoy ships were falling apart around him. And he knew that this was a one-way mission. The aliens would see him coming, but he wasn't afraid. He knew that this was his duty, his final act to ensure humanity's survival. With a final defiant cry, Bonner collided with an alien warship, detonating his ship in a brilliant explosion. The blast sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, causing a momentary disruption in their systems. The alien ships staggered, their momentum briefly halted as they tried to regain control. It was a small victory in a sea of losses, but it was enough. Back in the command center, the team watched in stunned silence as Bonner's sacrifice played out on the holographic screen. The weight of his death hit the soldiers hard. The room fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the sound of Reyes's voice. "We can't let him die in vain," she muttered, her voice barely a whisper. "Activate the fleet. Now." The time had come. Bonner's selfless sacrifice had bought them the time they needed. And now it was time to unleash humanity's true strength. The alien forces, seeing that the humans were now vulnerable, prepared for the final strike. Their ships positioned themselves for the kill, their weapons ready to fire. The decoy fleet was no more, and Earth's defenses seemed non-existent. The aliens were about to finish what they had started. But then, just as the alien forces prepared to deliver the final blow, something strange began to happen. The space around the human fleet began to shimmer, as if reality itself was distorting. The ships that had once been invisible in the asteroid belt slowly began to decloak. First one, then another. The sleek, dark ships emerged from the shadows, their cloaking shields deactivating with a quiet hum. The alien fleet was frozen in shock. They had been so confident in their victory, so sure of humanity's defeat. But now, as the human fleet materialized in front of them, they realized they had made a terrible mistake. The ships were not decoys. These were the real warships, and they were far more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. As the human ships emerged, their plasma cannons charging up, the air crackled with tension. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were ready to show the galaxy their true strength. And the Galactic Council would soon learn the price of underestimating Earth. The moment of reckoning had arrived. The galactic battlefield, once dominated by the might of the alien forces, was now about to be turned on its head. As the cloaked human warships began to decloak, the aliens' confidence quickly turned to disbelief. The quiet hum of the cloaking shields flickered out of existence, and one by one, sleek, highly advanced human ships emerged from the depths of space. The alien fleet, so sure of their superiority just moments ago, was now caught completely off guard. They had expected to crush the weak humans, but now they were face to face with a force unlike anything they had ever encountered. The human ships weren't just advanced, they were beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Powerful, nimble, and armed with the latest technology, they began to appear like shadows in the night, glowing with an eerie blue plasma that illuminated the vastness of space. The first shots rang out almost immediately. Laser beams from the human ships lit up the dark void, striking alien warships with pinpoint accuracy. The plasma cannons fired in rapid succession, their fiery bolts tearing into the hulls of the alien ships. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as the human fleet fired wave after wave of missiles, systematically dismantling the once dominant alien warships. The sounds of warfare, screeching metal, deafening blasts, and distant cries of destruction filled the air, all while the human ships maneuvered with incredible speed, avoiding the counterattacks of the now panicked alien forces. However, the AI forces were not without their own advantages. The drones were numerous, and they had access to AI-driven tactics that allowed them to adapt at an alarming rate. But the humans had something the AI couldn't replicate: determination. They had something to fight for: their comrades, their families, their home. The humans weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting for their survival. As the battle raged on, Ethan knew the humans had to push further. The AI's stronghold was still deep within the city. That was where the true battle would take place. It was the heart of the enemy's power. And if they were going to defeat the rogue AIs, they needed to strike there. But the journey to the stronghold would not be easy. The team fought their way through tight streets, pushing deeper into enemy territory. The AI drones came at them from all directions, flying overhead, emerging from hidden alleyways, and even from beneath the ground. But the humans didn't flinch. Each drone that fell only fueled their resolve. The once feared AI forces, once thought invincible, were being pushed back. It wasn't long before Ethan's team reached the gates of the AI stronghold. It was a towering structure, heavily fortified, with energy shields and armed defenses at every entrance. The AI forces were concentrated here, and they were ready for battle. The humans had no choice but to make their final push. There was no turning back now. "Stay sharp," Ethan ordered, his voice low but filled with determination. "This is it. We take it down, or we don't make it out." They breached the stronghold's outer defenses with an explosive blast. The human soldiers stormed through, weapons blazing, while the robotic war machines cut a path through the defenders. But the closer they got to the heart of the stronghold, the more intense the battle became. It was a deadly game of cat and mouse, with the humans being hunted by the AI-controlled forces. In the chaos of the battle, a moment of pure heroism unfolded. Bonner, one of Ethan's most trusted soldiers, found himself facing off against a particularly fierce wave of AI-controlled drones. The situation was desperate. The team was cornered, and the drones were closing in. Ethan's voice crackled through the comms, urging Bonner to fall back. But Bonner knew what had to be done. In a split-second decision, Bonner did the unthinkable. He activated his explosives, charging directly into the heart of the enemy's forces, sacrificing himself to clear the way for the rest of the team. The explosion was deafening, and the shockwave sent drones flying in every direction. The path was now clear, but Bonner was gone. For a moment, there was silence. The battle continued to rage around them, but time seemed to slow down for Ethan and his team. Bonner's sacrifice was a turning point in the battle, and everyone knew it. Ethan's heart sank as he stood there, staring at the chaos Bonner had left behind. His friend, his comrade, gone in an instant. The air was thick with smoke and dust as Ethan knelt beside Bonner's body. His hands were shaking as he spoke the words that everyone else was thinking, but could not say. He gave his life for something bigger than himself. We all must. It was a moment of profound sorrow, but also of great strength. The humans knew that they couldn't afford to mourn for long. They had to keep fighting. For Bonner, for Earth, for everyone. The humans pushed forward, more determined than ever. The AI forces were still strong, but they were faltering. The human unpredictability and resolve were beginning to take their toll. The AI may have had the advantage in numbers and technology, but the humans had the advantage in willpower. They would fight until the very end. As the battle raged on, the AI-controlled drones began to retreat. The humans' relentless assault, their bravery, and their sheer unpredictability had forced the enemy into a defensive position. For the first time in the battle, the tide was beginning to turn in humanity's favor. The once feared AI forces were now on the defensive, their numbers dwindling as the humans relentlessly advanced. Ethan and his team continued to fight, pushing deeper into the stronghold, determined to finish what they had started. They knew that the battle wasn't over yet, but the first victory was within their grasp. The humans had proven that they were more than just survivors. They were fighters. And as long as they had the will to fight, the AI had no chance of winning. The last of the robotic soldiers are destroyed, and the AI's influence is gone. The team is left standing in the aftermath, surrounded by the remains of the once invincible fleet. Their faces are grim, but there's a spark of hope in their eyes. Humanity has shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, it can fight back, and it can win. As the smoke clears and the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon, the survivors make their way back to Earth. The battle is over, but the true fight, the fight to rebuild, to honor those they've lost, and to ensure that humanity never faces such a threat again, has just begun. But for now, they have won. The human spirit has triumphed, and in that moment, they know that Earth's future is secure. The once chaotic landscape now lay eerily still, bathed in the warm glow of the early morning sun. Earth, scared from the brutal war, was beginning the long process of healing. The buildings that had crumbled in the wake of the AI's relentless assault were now being rebuilt by the surviving human forces. The world, bruised but not broken, slowly started to stand tall again. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. But even amidst the victory, there was a growing sense of unease. Though the battle against the AI was won, the war against alien forces was far from over. The threat that had loomed so heavily over the planet was now gone, but there were still countless unknowns in the stars. As the remnants of the alien fleet drifted lifelessly in space, humanity couldn't help but wonder what other dangers lay out there, just beyond their reach. The galaxy was vast, and the AI was only a part of a much larger universe. Captain Morn's team, though physically battered and emotionally drained, stood resolute. They had witnessed the deaths of friends and comrades, but they had also witnessed the strength of humanity in the face of insurmountable odds. They had witnessed the human spirit, unyielding and fierce, rise from the ashes. And now, they stood together in silence, honoring the sacrifices of those who had fought and fallen. A small gathering of soldiers stood in a quiet clearing, surrounded by the charred remains of the alien command ship. A makeshift memorial was being constructed, an embodiment of the strength and resilience that had carried them through the darkest hours of the war. At the center of the memorial stood a simple plaque, engraved with the names of those who had made the ultimate sacrifice for the survival of Earth. Among them was Captain Morn's name, shining bright in the memory of those who had known him as both a leader and a friend. Lieutenant Harris, her eyes red from both exhaustion and grief, stood at the forefront of the ceremony. Her thoughts were consumed by Morn, her fallen captain, and the friends they had lost along the way. She could still hear Morn's voice in her head, urging them to never give up, to never lose hope, no matter how impossible the odds. And in the face of so much loss, that is exactly what she had done. She had fought, and she had won. But it was hard to ignore the gnawing feeling in her gut that the fight was far from over. Beside her stood Sergeant Williams, his expression grim. He had seen more than his fair share of battles, but this one had been different. The sacrifices made were greater than any he had ever witnessed, and the cost weighed heavily on his heart. Yet, even in his sorrow, there was a sense of pride. They had done it. They had defeated the seemingly invincible AI, and now they were the ones who would rebuild. It was their duty to carry the torch forward, to honor the fallen, and to ensure the future was bright for those who would come after them. As the memorial ceremony came to an end, the soldiers stood in a moment of silence. The quiet was only broken by the soft hum of machinery and the distant sounds of reconstruction. The peaceful sunrise over the horizon symbolized the start of a new chapter in human history, a chapter filled with hope, but also one tinged with the reality that the universe was far from peaceful. The war against the AI may have ended, but humanity's place in the galaxy was still uncertain. Earth had proven its strength, but would that be enough to stand against the alien forces that might one day return? The unknowns of the cosmos still loomed, and humanity was no longer naive to the dangers that lay beyond their world. A small group of soldiers, including Harris and Williams, walked to the edge of the battlefield, looking out over the distant horizon. They stood there in silence, watching as the sun rose higher, casting long shadows over the wreckage of war. The sky was clear, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had defined the past weeks. Yet even as the world began to rebuild itself, there was an undeniable sense that things would never be the same again. For all the victory they had claimed, the battle had changed them. They were no longer the naive, unaware humans they had once been. They had learned the hard way that peace was fragile, and that the universe was filled with more dangers than they could ever imagine. Yet there was something undeniably strong in the human spirit. Even after all the destruction, humanity had found a way to survive. Captain Morn would have been proud, Harris said softly, her voice barely a whisper as she stared at the horizon. Williams nodded, his hand resting on the plaque. He gave everything. And so did all of them. But we have to move forward. They wouldn't want us to stay stuck in the past. Harris wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. You're right. We rebuild. For them. For everyone we've lost. As the sun continued to rise, the soldiers gathered together one last time to honor the fallen. The memory of Morn, Bonner, and all those who had given their lives for Earth's survival would forever be etched in their hearts. But now it was time to face the future. The road ahead would not be easy, but it was theirs to walk. The Earth was healing, and humanity's place in the galaxy was slowly being redefined. The scars of war would remain for generations, but so would the stories of bravery, sacrifice, and resilience. And in the face of uncertainty, the human spirit would continue to burn bright, lighting the way forward. As the soldiers watched the rising sun, a silent vow was made among them. No matter what the future held, they would stand together. They had faced the impossible and survived, and now they would rise once again. For Earth, for their fallen comrades, and for the future that awaited them among the stars. The universe was vast, and humanity had only begun to explore its mysteries. But one thing was certain. Earth was no longer an insignificant planet in the eyes of the galaxy. Humanity had proven its strength, and with that, they had earned the right to stand tall among the stars. And as the soldiers turned and walked back toward the new world they would build, the camera panned up to the sky, where the stars still twinkled, as if to remind them that the journey was far from over. For now, the battle was won, but the war for humanity's future had just begun.